Tonight, the world is quiet. The sun has long dipped below the horizon, leaving behind a soft afterglow that fades gently into dusk. In the stillness that follows, the first breath of night moves across the land, a cool, tender breeze that carries the scent of damp soil and fallen leaves. I find myself beside a wide lake, still and silver, reflecting the sky like a mirror. The harvest moon has begun its climb, large and golden, casting its light across the rippling surface of the water. The reeds by the shore sway with a faint whisper. Somewhere in the distance, a loon calls out, a sound that seems to echo through the layers of night. And there, near the edge of the lake, a turtle stirs. He has been resting under a cluster of reeds all day, hidden and still, his shell dappled with mud and time. Now, as the night deepens and the moon rises higher, he lifts his head. The world around him glows softly, the kind of glow that only comes once a year. When the harvest moon hangs heavy and near, the turtle's eyes glint like two small drops of amber. He looks around, unhurried. The cool air moves over his shell. The stars above begin to gather like dust on black velvet. He feels the pull of something deep within, an instinct older than memory. It's time to go home. His home is far beyond the edge of the forest, where a smaller pond lies hidden between a stand of birch trees. It's the place where he first hatched many seasons ago, where the mud smells familiar and the roots dip into the water like gentle fingers. Every year, when the air turns cool and the moon grows bright, he begins his slow journey back there. He takes his first step. The sound is smaller, soft press of his claws against damp earth. The night accepts his movement. Nothing stirs in alarm. The grass leans away slightly, parting for him. Crickets sing their steady song, as if marking the rhythm of his slow progress. The lake glows behind him, and ahead lies the forest, layered in shadows and moonlight. I walk beside him in silence, though he doesn't know I'm there. My role is only to observe, to watch how the world unfolds for him. His pace is deliberate, patient, the very embodiment of calm persistence. Each step carries weight, not from struggle, but from certainty. As he moves, the sounds of the forest begin to deepen. The breeze in the trees creates a soft murmur. Somewhere overhead, a branch creaks. Fireflies drift like wandering stars. The moonlight paints everything in pale silver. The bark of trees, the surface of stones, the edge of every leaf. He pauses when he reaches the first cluster of ferns. The air feels cooler here, touched with the faint scent of moss. A frog croaks from a nearby puddle, and the turtle turns his head toward the sound, as if acknowledging an old friend. There's no rush. He simply waits, listens, and breathes. The harvest moon brightens the path ahead. It's as if the light itself has decided to guide him. He steps forward again, his shell gleaming faintly. The night feels deeper now, but not dark, never threatening. Instead, it holds a quiet safety, a kind of stillness that invites rest. I imagine the turtle's thoughts, if he could think as we do. Perhaps he feels the pull of memory, the faint echo of the pond where he once swam as a hatchling. The mud between his claws, the reeds taller than his shell, the hum of life that once surrounded him. He moves with purpose, but there's also a peace in his slowness. Every few minutes, he stops to rest, his head lowering slightly, as if bowing to the earth. The forest hums gently around him. It's the kind of night that makes the world feel infinite. When I look up, the moon is enormous now, high above the treetops. It glows like a lantern in the sky, so bright it casts faint shadows on the forest floor. The turtle's shadow stretches beside him long, soft, and patient. There's a small stream ahead, one he'll need to cross. Its waters are shallow, but they sparkle with moonlight, moving quietly over smooth stones. He pauses at the edge, lowering his head to drink. Ripples spread outward, breaking the reflection of the moon into scattered gold. For a moment, time feels suspended. The sound of the water, the crickets, the breeze through the trees, they all merge into a single lullaby. Then, slowly, he begins to move through the stream. The current brushes against his legs, swirling gently around his shell. He takes his time, finding his footing with care. Each step sends ripples across the surface, catching the moonlight like threads of silver. When he reaches the other side, he pauses again. He blinks slowly, his eyes catching the faint shimmer of reflected light. The forest beyond looks different, now quieter, more mysterious. He presses onward. The ground becomes softer underfoot, carpeted with fallen leaves that rustle faintly with every step. The scent of autumn lingers, earthy rich, touched with decay. Above, branches stretch and weave, filtering the moonlight into shifting patterns. There's a sense of continuity, reminder that even the slowest traveler belongs to the rhythm of the world. The owl hunts, the river moves, the trees breathe, and the turtle walks on, one careful step at a time. I find myself breathing slower, matching his rhythm without meaning to. The quiet becomes something I can feel. He comes to a clearing where the trees open to reveal a meadow. The grass sways in long, graceful arcs beneath the moonlight. A cool mist drifts low across the ground, brushing the tips of the grass. The turtle pauses at the edge, taking in the expanse before him. The moon hangs directly above the meadow, now full, bright and immense. Its light spills across the land like water, turning everything into shades of silver and blue. He begins to cross. Each blade of grass bends under his weight and rises again once he passes. Tiny dewdrops cling to the tips, glittering in the light. The mist curls around him, soft as breath. In the distance, the forest continues, dark and quiet, like a great sea of shadow. Somewhere within that darkness lies the pond he calls home. He doesn't hurry. The turtle knows the night is long. He knows the journey takes as long as it needs to. The moon will guide him. The earth will hold him. The quiet will keep him company. The wind shifts, carrying the faint sound of rustling leaves and something else, a faraway stream. Maybe the one that feeds his pond. His head lifts slightly, his eyes reflecting the moon. Step by step, he moves through the meadow, leaving behind a faint trail in the dew. Every so often, he stops and looks around. I imagine he feels the way the air cools and thickens, the way the scent of home drifts closer. The night seems endless, but it's a kind of eternity that comforts rather than overwhelms. And in this quiet, with only the turtle's steady progress and the moon's patient light, I can feel something shift. The pace of the world slows. The noise of thought begins to fade. The harvest moon hangs above like an ancient guardian, watching as one small creature makes its way across the land. Step by gentle step, there is no rush. There is only time, and the soft promise that home is waiting, somewhere just beyond the trees. Part 2. The whispering forest, the meadow fades behind us, and the turtle reaches the edge of the forest once again. Here, the air grows cooler. The mist thins and drifts upward, caught in the faint light that filters through the canopy. The ground beneath him is soft and uneven layers of fallen leaves that have turned to velvet under the weight of time. He pauses beneath a great oak, its branches spread wide like arms reaching for the moon. The light seeps through in patches, falling across the turtle's shell in a pattern that shifts and ripples as the branches sway. He breathes. If a turtle can be said to breathe with purpose, and listens, the forest speaks quietly tonight. Not in words, but in rustles, creaks, and distant sighs. The wind moves through the leaves, slow and steady. Somewhere high above, a nightbird stirs. A faint hoot echoes through the trees, deep and mellow, like a heartbeat in the dark. The turtle blinks once, then again. His eyes glint faintly in the light. There's no fear in him, only calm awareness. He begins to move again, each step pressing softly into the leaf litter. The rhythm of his movement is so steady that it becomes part of the forest's breathing. The smell here is different to deeper, the kind of scent that speaks of moss and bark, of wet stone and roots hidden under layers of earth. The forest feels alive, not in the loud way of day, but in the quiet confidence of night. The turtle moves through it as if he's done this 100 times before. Maybe he has. The world changes around him every season, but his path feels ancient, remembered. His journey is not about speed or struggle, it's about returning, slowly, deliberately, to the place that knows him. He comes to a fallen log, covered in moss. The surface glows faintly green under the moonlight. Tiny mushrooms sprout from its side like little lanterns. He stops, tilts his head, and touches the edge of the wood with his claw. The bark crumbles slightly under his weight. It takes time for him to climb over. His shell catches the light as he rises, his movements careful, deliberate. When he reaches the top, he rests for a moment, letting his head lower close to the moss dot from this small height. He can see a narrow trail ahead, a winding path that threads deeper into the forest. The moonlight barely reaches there, but what little light filters through seems enough for him. He continues. The night grows quieter as he moves deeper in. Even the crickets seem softer here. The air feels heavier, touched with the scent of pine. The ground is cool against his feet, damp with dew. I walk beside him still, though I am only an unseen observer. I notice how everything seems to move in harmony with his pace. The branches sway slower when he passes beneath them. The mist hangs a little longer, like it wants to stay close. There's something sacred about the slowness of it all as he moves. The forest begins to open slightly. Ahead lies a clearing dotted with stones and low ferns. In the center stands a pool of water, small and perfectly still, reflecting the harvest moon above. The sight of it makes me catch my breath. It's as though the sky has dipped down to touch the earth. The turtle stops at the edge of the pool. He lowers his head, gazing into the reflection. The moon stares back at him, whole and bright. Ripples form as he steps closer, and the image shivers, breaking into silver shards. He stays there for a while, unmoving. I can't tell if he's resting or remembering. Maybe both, perhaps. The sight of the moon reminds him of the many nights he's made this same journey, through years that stretched long and uncounted. Perhaps he recalls storms he's survived, seasons he's slept through, the feel of sun on his shell. The forest around him hums quietly, as if holding its breath. Then, a soft sound, a splash from the far side of the pool. A small creature slips into the water, sending ripples across the surface. The turtle lifts his head slightly, watching. The ripples move toward him and touch his feet. The moment passes. The water stills. He steps around the edge of the pool and continues his path. The trail beyond the clearing begins to rise, leading toward a ridge. The slope is gentle, but it requires effort. His pace slows even more, each movement deliberate and patient. The earth beneath him gives slightly under his weight. As he climbs, the forest begins to thin. The moonlight grows stronger. From here, he can see glimpses of the land below, the silver ribbon of the lake he left behind, the faint glow of mist rising above the meadow. He keeps going. When he finally reaches the top of the ridge, he pauses to rest. The view spreads out before him in quiet majesty. The harvest moon sits directly above, enormous and golden, casting light across the world. Every blade of grass, every leaf, every stone gleams softly, and there, far beyond the trees, lies a faint shimmer, the reflection of his home pond. It's still distant, but closer than before. He seems to know. He lifts his head higher, gazing in that direction. There's a subtle shift in his posture, something like resolve. Then he begins the descent. The slope on this side is gentler, covered in pine needles that cushion his steps. The air feels different here, cooler, touched with a hint of water. Somewhere nearby, a brook trickles softly. He moves toward the sound, following it like a familiar voice. When he finds it, the brook glows under the moonlight, its surface broken by stones and patches of moss. The water is clear and slow-moving, curling around rocks and roots. It hums softly, peaceful, endless song. The turtle pauses at its edge and lowers his head again to drink. The reflection of the moon ripples once more, then settles. He follows the brook downstream. The path winds gently, bordered by ferns and tall grasses. The soft rhythm of flowing water becomes his companion, steady and comforting. Every few steps, he stops to rest or listen. The night hums quietly around him, an orchestra of rustles and distant calls. The breeze through the trees, the occasional chirp of a cricket, the soft murmur of water over stone. There's no need for hurry. The moon will stay with him until dawn. The forest begins to thin again, giving way to a grove of slender birches. Their white trunks glow faintly under the moonlight, casting long shadows across the ground. The turtle moves between them, his shell brushing against fallen leaves. A few leaves drift down as he passes, spinning lazily through the air before settling at his feet. He continues until the sound of the brook fades behind him, replaced by the faint rustle of reeds. That sound makes him stop. His head lifts slightly. The reeds. He knows them. They grow around the pond he calls home. He moves forward again, a little more certain now. The ground slopes gently downward. The air grows damper, carrying the smell of still water and mud. The scent fills the night, earthy and sweet. Then, through the trees ahead, the moonlight flashes across something smooth and reflective. The turtle stops. The pond lies just beyond the birches, its surface shining like liquid glass. The harvest moon hangs directly above it, turning everything golden. The reeds sway at the edges, whispering softly. For a long moment, he simply stands there, as if taking in the sight. The air feels sacred, the kind of stillness that belongs only to moments of return. Finally, he moves forward. The soft earth welcomes him. The sound of the pond grows louder, the faint lapping of water, the distant plop of something small diving beneath the surface. He reaches the water's edge and stops. The moon shimmers across his shell. He lowers his head and steps into the pond. The coolness surrounds him. The water folds over his feet, his shell, until he's half submerged. He lets out a breath, soft and slow. The pond ripples around him, glowing under the harvest moon. The reeds whisper. The world feels whole again. I watch as he finds a shallow patch near the edge and settles in, letting his body sink slightly into the mud. His eyes close halfway. He's home. The forest sighs around him a slow, gentle exhale. The moon reflects across the pond, undisturbed now except for the faint ripples around his shell. The turtle rests there, still and content as the night deepens, and for the first time in his long journey, everything is quiet. The crickets continue their steady song. The breeze stirs the reeds. The stars shimmer above, mirrored perfectly in the pond's still surface. The harvest moon looks down, patient and knowing. Somewhere in the distance, an owl calls once more. Its voice drifts through the trees, fading slowly into the calm. The turtle doesn't move. He doesn't need to. He is where he belongs. And the night, vast and eternal, holds him in its soft embrace. Part 3. Dreams beneath the harvest moon. The turtle rests at the edge of the pond, half submerged in still water. The night has grown deeper now, darker at the edges, softer near the center where the moon still hangs. Above, its reflection ripples gently each time. The breeze passes across the pond. The air feels heavy with peace, the kind of quiet that exists only when every creature has found its place. The reeds whisper in slow rhythm somewhere far off. A night bird gives a final call before silence settles again. The turtle doesn't move. His shell gleams faintly in the moonlight, traced by shadows of reeds and leaves. His eyes close fully now. The journey is done. But his night is not over. He begins to drift, not through water, but through something softer, weightless. The border between waking and dreaming blurs, and I can almost see what he feels. The pond fading into something wider, something made of memory and moonlight. The forest hums quietly around him. The stars above shimmer and seem to bend closer, as if curious about this small, ancient traveler. In his dream, the turtle is young again. The pond looks the same, but brighter. The reeds are taller, the sky bluer, the water clear and shallow. He feels light, his shell smaller, his steps quicker round him. The pond teems with life. Tiny fish dart through the water like sparks of silver. Frogs sing, dragonflies hover, and the sun glows high above. He remembers what it felt like to belong here, to know the edges of every rock and the sound of every ripple. The warmth of sunlight on his back, the taste of still water, fresh and clean, the safe weight of the mud beneath him. He drifts in that dream for a long while, carried by currents of memory. It's not a sharp, vivid dream, more a haze of warmth and rhythm, like being rocked by the earth itself. Outside the dream, the night continues. The harvest moon tilts lower in the sky, brushing the tops of the trees. Mist gathers above the pond, rising in soft ribbons that glow faintly under the moonlight. It curls around the turtle, wrapping him in cool, silvery threads. The world looks half real now, half shadow, half dream. A ripple moves across the pond. At first it's faint, almost invisible. Then it spreads wider, catching the light and breaking the reflection of the moon into liquid gold. Something moves beneath. The surface, a small fish, maybe, or a drifting branch. But to the turtle, deep in sleep, it becomes part of his dream. In his mind, the ripples turn into waves of light, carrying him across the pond. He feels the movement slow, gentle, endless. Each wave lifts him slightly, then lowers him again, like the steady breath of a sleeping world. And within this rhythm, he dreams of home not as a place, but as a feeling, a soft weight in his chest, a calm that hums through his shell. He dreams of safety, and of time that moves in circles instead of lines. He dreams of the moon in his dream. The moon is closer now. It floats just above the pond, glowing warm instead of cold. He looks up, and it seems to watch him, patient, kind, ancient. He feels something like gratitude rise in him. Though he doesn't know the word for it, he only knows that this light has guided him for longer than memory can hold. The moon pulses once, faintly. Then the light expands, filling the pond, filling the air, until everything glows white and gold. Outside the dream, the forest stirs. A faint wind moves through the birch trees, shaking loose a few late leaves. They drift down slowly, spinning through the air until they touch the pond's surface. Each one lands with a quiet sigh, floating there like tiny boats. The turtle doesn't wake. He breathes, slow and even. The water ripples around his shell and stills again. The night deepens further. The harvest moon begins its long descent toward the western ridge. Its light grows softer, slipping behind thin clouds that drift like smoke. Dew gathers on the reeds. A frog croaks once, then falls silent. Somewhere far off, a fox moves through the underbrush, unseen and quiet. And yet, within this silence, there's a pulse, not a sound, but a presence. It's as if the earth itself has a heartbeat. The pond listens. The turtle listens too. Even in his dreams, he dreams now of distant journeys, of paths through forests, across meadows, beneath skies filled with migrating birds. He moves slowly in those dreams, as always, but he never stops. Everywhere he goes, the moon follows him, sometimes bright, sometimes hidden, but always near. He remembers the scent of rain-soaked soil, the sound of water against stone, the shimmer of light across wet leaves. He dreams of the feeling of returning over and over again, across seasons and years. It's as if time itself has folded around him, letting him live every journey at once. Outside the dream, a faint mist rolls across the pond. The world feels hushed, caught in the space between night and dawn. The sky begins to change, not yet light, but softer at the edges. The black fades to blue, the stars dim, the air shifts. A single bird sings a tentative note that floats across the stillness. It sounds unsure at first, like a whisper testing the air. Then another joins, and another. Soon, the forest hums again. This time with morning voices. The turtle stirs. His head lifts slightly above the surface. His eyes still half closed. A thin layer of mist clings to his shell, glowing faintly in the early light. He blinks once. The harvest moon is gone now, slipping below the trees. In its place, the first edge of dawn glows pink and soft. He takes a slow breath. The air tastes different now, fresher, cooler. Alive, the reeds around him sway gently in the new breeze. Drops of dew fall from their tips, making tiny ripples on the pond's surface. The turtle looks around, as if remembering where he is. Then slowly he settles again. Letting the water rise to his chin, he doesn't move toward land. He doesn't need to. He's home. The world has shifted from dream to waking. but both feel the same here. The pond is quiet, the air tender, the morning just beginning to breathe. For a long while, he remains still. As the first sunlight touches the surface of the pond, the gold of dawn replaces the silver of moonlight. Painting his shell with warmth, he closes his eyes once more, not to sleep this time, but to rest in the gentle rhythm of morning. I stand quietly at the water's edge. Watching him, the world feels suspended in that perfect moment between night and day. The kind of moment that holds everything, the memory of where we've been, and the promise of what's next. The turtle breathes slowly. The pond mirrors the sky. The light softens everything it touches. Somewhere, a dragonfly lifts from a reed and traces lazy circles above the water. Its wings flash with color blue. Gold, silver, tiny fragments of the new day. The turtle doesn't open his eyes. He feels the warmth across his shell, the coolness of the mud beneath him, and the faint hum of life all around. He's not in a hurry to move. He's never in a hurry to do anything. The world will turn, and the sun will rise, and he will be here exactly where he belongs. The wind sighs softly through the trees, carrying with it the fading scent of the night. The reeds whisper again, not in words, but in rhythm, a lullaby in reverse, meant to wake rather than to send to sleep. The light strengthens, the pond brightens, the day begins. But for the turtle, and for the stillness of this moment, the journey is complete. The harvest moon has done its work, guiding him home, wrapping the night in peace, then bowing gracefully to the dawn. He has returned, and in his quiet, unhurried way, he has reminded the world that every path, no matter how slow, eventually leads home. Part 4. Morning light on the riverbank. The night lingers a little longer than usual, as if reluctant to leave. The last of the stars fade slowly, one by one, until only a pale trace of silver remains where the moon once stood. The forest holds its breath in that in-between moment, when it is no longer night, but not yet day, and there, by the still waters of the river, the old turtle dreams. He lies half buried in the soft earth, the warmth of his shell holding on to the coolness of the night. Each breath he takes rises in a slow, gentle rhythm, a tide that ebbs and flows, never hurried, never forced in his dreams. The river hums beneath the harvest moon once more. He drifts through memories that flow like quiet water, ripples of his youth, faint outlines of faces long gone, and the sound of the world as it used to be. The forest stirs. A single bird wakes first, a robin, soft and tentative, letting out a note that seems unsure whether to continue. Then another joins, and then another, until the forest fills with a low, tender chorus. The turtle shifts slightly, his claws brushing against the damp moss. A faint smile, or something close to it, touches the corners of his beak. He does not wake all at once. Like the dawn, he eases into the day, half in dream, half in waking thought. The warmth of the rising sun creeps through the canopy, touches his shell, and lingers there. It feels like an embrace, soft, patient, familiar, the kind of warmth that asks for nothing, only offers. The river beside him begins to sparkle. The mist that hovered above it all night now begins to rise, curling upward like faint smoke, glowing faintly gold in the new light. The surface ripples gently as fish stir below, every sound the chirp of a bird. The whisper of the breeze feels new again, as if being heard for the first time. The turtle opens his eyes. For a moment, He doesn't move. He watches the slow shimmer of light dance across the water. He feels the soil beneath him, damp and cool, grounding him to this place. The long journey that brought him here seems both far away and very near. Each step, each pause, each breath of the road now feels part of a larger rhythm, one that began long before him and will continue long after. He lifts his head slowly. The air smells different now, sweet, alive, filled with the scent of moss and dew. He blinks, his old eyes catching the reflection of the morning sky. There are clouds moving lazily, their shapes shifting like thoughts drifting in a dream. And between them, the softest blue stretches endlessly, a promise that the world continues. One quiet moment at a time, he begins to move again, not because he must, but because life itself invites motion. Each small step leaves an imprint in the earth, a gentle reminder that even the slowest path still carries forward. He moves toward the edge of the riverbank, where reeds sway lightly and dragonflies hover like flickers of light. The water greets him like an old friend. It laps gently against his shell, cool and soothing. He lowers himself a little deeper until the surface ripples around him. The reflection of the harvest moon has vanished, but in its place is something equally beautiful. The soft shimmer of morning sunlight scattered across the rippling current dot. He lets out a slow breath. The world feels both vast and close, filled with stillness and movement at once. And he realizes, in that quiet clarity, that home is not just the destination he's reached. It's every moment he's moved through, every breath, every pause. The turtle lingers there for a while. The sun rises higher, casting warmth across the forest floor. Leaves glisten. The sound of water blends with birdsong, creating a gentle melody that belongs to no one and to everything. And as he rests in that light, the turtle feels something deep within him settle. Not sleep, not wakefulness, but a kind of peace that lies between both. It's the stillness of knowing that everything is as it should be. The river flows, the forest breathes, the journey continues, not outward anymore, but inward, toward a quiet place where time moves slower than dreams. And there, beneath the soft golden sky, the turtle drifts once more, not into sleep, not into thought, but into the calm rhythm of the world itself. Part 5. The gentle day unfolds. The morning stretches slowly across the land, like a soft blanket being pulled open. The light deepens, turning from pale gold to a richer amber. Every blade of grass holds a tiny bead of dew, and for a few quiet minutes, the forest seems to shimmer as if wrapped in starlight that forgot to fade. The turtle remains by the water, still and content. He feels the warmth on his shell growing stronger, seeping deep into him. He does not rush away from it. He lets it happen. His breathing matches the rhythm of the river, slow, calm, endless dot in the stillness. Small details begin to appear. A leaf drifts down from a nearby branch, its edges curling inward, its color turning the soft orange of autumn. It lands gently on the water, spinning in place before floating downstream. The turtle follows it with his eyes, tracing its slow journey until it vanishes around a bend. He knows, in some quiet way, that it too is on its own path home. The forest hums faintly around him. Insects begin to stir. Bees lazily hover between wildflowers. And somewhere nearby, a small frog calls out, its voice echoing in the cool shade. The turtle listens to it all not as noise, but as music, the kind that belongs to the day. He begins to move again. His legs press softly into the mud, leaving steady impressions as he makes his way toward a patch of reeds that sway with the wind. Their long green blades brush gently against his shell. He pauses there, nestled between earth and water, and lets the movement of the reeds lull him into quiet thought. The sunlight breaks through the treetops in beams. Tiny motes of dust and pollen drift through the air, turning golden in the light. Everywhere he looks, there is something gentle happening, something alive, yet unhurried. He notices a butterfly land on a nearby stone. Its wings are painted with the same soft orange as the leaf that floated away earlier. For a moment, the butterfly remains perfectly still. Then, as if remembering something, it lifts away, spiraling upward into the sunlight. The turtle tilts his head slightly, following it until it disappears into the trees. He doesn't envy its wings, nor does he wish to move faster. He understands, as the forest does, that everything moves at its own pace. The butterfly has its fluttering path through the sky. He has his steady path through the soil and water. Both are journeys, and both are beautiful. He lowers himself closer to the earth again. The smell of wet moss fills his sense. Clean, grounding. He takes a slow breath, and as he exhales, it feels like he is releasing not air, but time itself. The forest begins to warm now. The mist has vanished completely, and the sunlight spreads across the riverbank, catching the shells of small snails and the silver backs of fish just below the surface. The turtle dips his head briefly into the water, feeling the coolness wash over him. The touch of the water wakes something deep within him, a memory, perhaps, or a feeling of returning to where it all began. He remembers streams like this one, far away, many seasons ago. He remembers the smell of rain on rocks and the feeling of his younger shell, smoother and lighter. But the memory doesn't make him sad. It makes him grateful. Grateful that after all this time, he is still part of this endless rhythm. The river gurgles beside him, gentle but steady. It reminds him that nothing truly stops. It only changes form, flowing from one moment into the next. He looks up once more. The sky has turned a deeper blue, and a few soft clouds drift lazily past. They move the way he does, slowly, peacefully, with no hurry to reach anywhere. The day continues like this, quiet, beautiful, and full of the smallest wonders. The sound of the breeze through the trees becomes a lullaby. The shimmer of the water becomes a mirror to the world, and the turtle, sitting in his quiet place between land and river, feels as though the earth itself is breathing with him. He blinks slowly, his eyes half closed now. He feels the warmth of the sun, the coolness of the soil, and the gentle hum of life surrounding him. He doesn't need to move any further. He doesn't need to search anymore. This, he knows, is home. Not just the riverbank, not just the forest, but this moment, the perfect stillness of being exactly where he is. As he lets his eyes close, the sounds of the day weave together. Birdsong, water, wind, all forming a single, soft melody. It's the kind of sound that carries no beginning and no end, only a peaceful rhythm that drifts on and on. The turtle rests, half in shadow, half in sunlight. The world moves gently around him, and for a while, everything feels timeless. The harvest moon may have set, but its quiet light still lingers somewhere within him, a reminder that every journey, no matter how slow, always leads to peace in the end. Part 6. Afternoon hues. In the forest, the sun climbs higher now. and the forest transforms under its gentle gaze. Shadows stretch and shrink between the trees. Shafts of light pierce the canopy, landing on soft patches of moss, fallen leaves, and the turtle's steady shell. The air is warm but not harsh, and it carries with it the faint scent of earth, water, and pine. The turtle stirs slowly, rising from his resting place by the riverbank. Each movement is measured and patient, deliberate yet effortless. His shell gleams softly in the sunlight, the gentle curves reflecting the forest's warmth. He begins his slow journey along the edge of the river, careful with each step. The soft soil cushions his claws, the reeds brush gently against his shell, and somewhere beneath the water, small fish scatter quietly. The forest around him hums in soft, comforting tones. A squirrel pauses in the branches above, its tiny eyes catching the sunlight as it scans the forest floor. Birds hop along the trees, their wings folding quietly against their bodies. Even the wind seems hushed, moving just enough to stir the tops of the ferns without disturbing the stillness below. The turtle reaches a bend in the river. Here, the water widens slightly and moves more slowly, curling gently around smooth stones and moss-covered roots. He pauses to drink, lowering his head until the cool water laps against his beak. Each sip sends tiny ripples outward, distorting the reflection of the sun in soft waves of gold and silver. He takes his time, savoring the moment. It is not a race, this life he leads. There is no need to hurry. The forest and the river exist in harmony, moving at their own pace, and he moves with them. A dragonfly lands nearby, its wings shimmering in the sunlight. It hovers just above the water before darting off again, tracing arcs of light across the river. The turtle watches, unhurried, letting the movement of the small creature wash over him like a slow, warm tide. The riverbank begins to change subtly as he continues. The reeds give way to small patches of soft earth, dotted with tiny flowers in muted shades of cream and lavender. A light breeze carries their scent to him, faint, sweet, and calming. He pauses, pressing his claws into the soil, feeling its firmness beneath him. The earth seems to welcome him, holding him safely as he moves through it. Somewhere nearby, the faint croak of a frog echoes through the trees. It is followed by a subtle rustle, perhaps a small bird or another creature stirring in the underbrush. The sounds are never abrupt, never startling. Instead, they form a soft backdrop, like a lullaby composed by the forest itself. The turtle continues along the river's edge, stepping carefully around roots and stones. He reaches a small patch of moss-covered rocks, their surfaces glinting faintly in the sunlight. He climbs over them slowly, resting his weight evenly on each rock as if to honor it. From this vantage point, he can see a small ripple in the river further ahead, the light reflecting off it like liquid glass. He pauses there, head lifted slightly, taking in the view. Everything is quiet, save for the river's gentle murmur and the distant hum of life. The forest feels vast and timeless, as if it has existed this way for countless seasons and will continue long after the sun sets again. The turtle moves on. The path winds deeper into the forest now, dappled with sunlight that filters through the branches. Leaves flutter gently in the breeze, and the shadows shift slowly across the forest floor. The turtle's pace is steady, each step deliberate, each pause intentional. There is a rhythm here, one that belongs to the earth, to the water, to the slow, patient creatures who call it home. A small bird hops from branch to branch, curious about the quiet traveler moving below. The turtle does not startle. He continues, his movements blending seamlessly with the forest's natural flow. As he rounds another bend, he finds a shallow pool, half hidden by ferns. The water is still, reflecting the sky and trees above. He stops at its edge, dipping his head to drink once more. The sunlight sparkles across the surface in tiny shards of gold, dancing with the ripples created by his movements. Time seems to stretch and expand here. The day moves forward, but without urgency. Every moment carries its own weight, its own purpose, its own beauty. The turtle breathes slowly, deeply, allowing each sense to drink in the forest, the warmth, the sounds, the scents, the feeling of life itself moving in quiet harmony. After drinking, he continues along the riverbank. The sunlight grows warmer as the afternoon stretches onward. Shadows lengthen slowly, moving like lazy dancers across the ground. The forest seems to sigh gently, as if in appreciation of the calm traveler moving among its trees. The turtle pauses once more at a bend in the river. Here, the reeds sway slightly more, and the surface of the water shimmers in soft light. He lowers himself, resting his head on a smooth rock, letting the warmth of the day seep into his shell. The gentle hum of life continues, birds chirping, leaves rustling, water lapping softly against the shore. In this moment, he feels complete. The journey, though long and slow, has brought him here, to a place of quiet peace and deep belonging. The forest embraces him, the river supports him, and the sunlight warms him. All is well. For a long while, he remains there, still and calm, breathing with the rhythm of the river and the pulse of the forest. Time stretches endlessly, carrying him along its gentle flow, and somewhere deep within him, he remembers the harvest moon. He remembers its soft guidance, its patient light shining over the world. Though it has set, its quiet presence lingers, a reminder that every journey, no matter how slow, has its own reward. The turtle closes his eyes, letting the afternoon carry him toward rest. The forest watches quietly, the river sings its endless song, and the sun drifts across the sky. All is still, all is calm, all is exactly as it should be.